Okay, so in our last video, we talked about how to get into the indexing. In this short video, I'm going to explain these three buttons right here. And then in the following video, we're going to do these two. And in the following after that, we're going to do these three. And then after that, we're going to talk about data entry and how to work that data entry side. Okay, so let's start with these three. So this is something that allows us to indicate that the field was left blank. Okay, so imagine for just a second that as I was indexing Helen Cummings' record, and you can see I've filled out her record here. Imagine that her first name was actually blank. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it just for now. And what I'm going to do is tap this little blank button. Make sure the cursor is in there, and I'm going to tap that. So now you'll see it leaves it as blank. So just again, imagine that it just said Mrs. Blank Cummings. I would leave it blank like that. Now what that does for us is it allows the form to pass an audit. So when you go to submit a batch, what's going to happen is it's going to do an audit. And notice it didn't, if I go back to entry one, it didn't give any issues with the blank reference. But if you try to submit it with actual blank fields, it's going to say, hey, this is wrong. Okay, so this part of the quality check is making sure that everything is filled out that should be filled out. Okay, additionally, what you can do is you can blank an entire row of data. So let's just take a look at this entry number 2. And what I can do here is click this, and it's going to literally say blank across the entire set. Now, this can sometimes be just a shortcut. Maybe everything is blank except for 2 records. So you could tap that, it'll set everything as blank, and maybe all you have is the person's given name and maybe a date of birth, right? And no other things are filled out. So sometimes this is just purely for a shortcut. Okay, and now imagine, let's go to the next record here. Imagine that I have a situation where I can't read the record. So let's just go back to Helen, okay, and let's go put her name in, okay, and let's just imagine instead of it saying Helen, and it is a little bit difficult to tell if it's Helen, but I think it is Helen. Let's just say I couldn't read it. Maybe there was a smudge over it or something like that. What you can do is tap this little question mark, and it'll mark it as unlegible. That's an important indicator for times that you're in doubt on the interpretation of a certain item. If you really can't read it, you really don't know what it is saying, you can mark it as unreadable. And what that does is it flags it so that other people can go in and take a look and see if they can interpret it. So if it's unreadable, just mark it as unreadable. There's nothing wrong in doing so. So those are these 3 sections. This is important 3 buttons here. In our next video, we're going to get into record management and how to deal with the series of records. So we'll look forward to doing that lesson next week.